stars, what is up? Thank you so much for once again stopping back by. Really hope that you will enjoy today's video so that you can keep coming back for more. So I'm filming this video at night, but I hope that the lighting is fairly okay. So in today's video we are going to be talking about rejection, how to handle rejection, how to deal with rejection, but most importantly how to understand rejection. I am also going to be sharing my testimony with you guys, my biggest rejection testimony yet. If that is something that you are interested in, do keep watching this video till the end. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe, and to become a part of the family. I honestly feel like the best way for me to do this video is just by jumping straight into it and telling you guys my testimony. So I matriculated in 2015. I was 17 years old when I matriculated, and at this point God had revealed to me that, okay babes, you are going to be in the acting industry, so you're going to study drama. And that's what I wanted to do. Like, I was certain that I wanted to do drama. How the department works is that you apply, and then if you meet the requirements, if you have enough points and all of that, you get an audition date, and then you're invited to an audition. You come and audition, and if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. So what had happened was they sent me my audition date, and then I lost my phone. So obviously I hadn't been to university before, so I didn't know that there's something called a student portal where you can check your admission status and all of that. So yes, I had lost my phone, but I still could have went to the portal and checked. But because I didn't know, I didn't do that. Days go by and I'm like, Aibo, so good January phela manje, school is about to open, and I still haven't found a spot in university, that they still haven't gotten back to me. So I go to DT, I applied, I meet all the requirements, but I still haven't gotten my audition date. And literally the lady just went, what's your name? I tell her my name. What's your student number? Tell her. And she's like, last chance to audition was on Friday. It was Monday. And she's like, you've missed it. In fact, you've missed 2 audition dates, because what happened was they called me for an audition 2 weeks ago. I didn't reply to them, and they called me for an audition that last Friday, and I still didn't reply. And she's like, the last batch of auditions were on Friday, so there's nothing we can do for you. We can't even set another date. That year I had only applied at DT, so I ended up doing a course in film and television. It was from a big company called Enquiries, and in that year they had produced 2 movies, big movies that really did well here in South Africa, called Ipupo the Dream and Between Friends. Like, so when I got the opportunity to study under this company, it was like a learnership program where they were training people. But little did I know that I'm going there to be trained for film and television. When I initially got the opportunity, I thought, okay, cool, I didn't get into drama school, but boy, I am about to act for this production company that produced this and this movie. It's okay, God, I see what you were doing. I get there, I was the youngest person in the class. I get there, people are talking about script writing, continuity, producing, editing, sound, and I'm just like, what about acting? Like, and they're like, no, this is not an acting training program. Little did I know or understand at that time that God was preparing me for bigger things. I look at the things that I've done today and I'm like, God, I understand why I had to start there. I look at my channel today and I'm like, that's when I was introduced to editing. I'm at a place where I can now edit my own videos, and it all originates from the fact that I got basic editing from there. I look at the things that I've written, the script supervisions that I've done. I look at the things that have been able to make me money this far in my life, and I'm like, had it not been for that course, I never would have learned how to write. I never would have learned how to produce for radio. I never would have learned how to do continuity. There's just so many things that I'm just like, they don't offer this at drama school, but God, I understand why I had to start there. I may not have understood at that time, why am I not getting everything that I wanted? I couldn't understand what I had done wrong. And it wasn't anything I had done wrong. It was just a matter of, you will get to your destination, but on my pace. And I think that's what we need to understand about rejection, is that most of the time God doesn't say no. He just says not now. And we get so frustrated because we're so caught up in I want this and I want this now. And we don't understand that sometimes he's protecting us or preparing us for more than what we can see at that time, because Tina, we don't know, but he sees the bigger plan. So fast forward, that was my 2016. Long story short, I ended up loving it. I ended up, oh my gosh, I still loved being in front of the camera. It never took away my passion for being in front of the camera, but it gave me so much knowledge. And it goes back to what I always say, in this industry, you gotta be able to do more than just one thing in order for you to be stable. You know, you can't just be an actor. And I look back now and I'm like, God, I understand why you took me through the process. You understood that the industry that I'm putting myself in requires so much more from me than just being an actor. But I didn't know that at that time. Okay, so that happened. That year went by. So now it was 2017. Yay. I applied for drama again. I applied at DUT and I applied at WITS. But now I had been living at home like the previous year, 2016. I was fed up. I wanted to move away from home. I wanted the whole university experience where you leave home, you live at rest. You know, that was what I was hoping for. So even though I had applied at DUT, it wasn't my intention to come to DUT. I really wanted to go to WITS. Like, I really wanted to go to WITS. So I applied at WITS for drama school, as well as for film and television. They invited me for an audition, which I was super excited about, super confident about. So I get there. There was a lot of us that day. When I tell you that I was so prepared, I knew every single monologue. I was emotionally, mentally ready. Mind you, I knew I wanted this. I knew I longed to be a performer. Oh, and then they tell us that don't call us, we'll call you. If you've made it, you will know in 2 weeks. I go back home and a week passes by. A friend of mine, I had met a friend there called Boiti. So I text her and I ask her, oh, Boiti and I had already made plans that we're gonna live together at Res. Everything was planned out, okay? So I call her, I text her rather, and I ask her, have you gotten your response? And she's like, yes, I got accepted. And I'm like, oh yay. And she's like, what about you? And I'm like, no, they haven't responded to me. And she's like, no, chill. Vele, like your surname is at the bottom, it's in the ends. She had a surname that starts with a B or something. She's like, no, they're probably still gonna get to you, don't worry. There was like many of us. And I'm like, okay girl, okay. And 2 weeks is not up yet. Time goes by, days go by, 2 weeks play. About like 2 days before, 3 weeks, I call and I ask the faculty lady, what's happening? She's like, what's your student number? I tell her my student number. She's like, we regret to inform you, your application was unsuccessful. My entire world shattered. I remember I didn't even hang up. I just cried in my room. I cried. I couldn't understand. It was enough that I didn't do it last year. So, you know, it was building. Now it was a thing of, will I ever even study drama? Because the previous year, I couldn't do it. This year, you say no again. Why do you keep saying no? Am I hearing you wrong? Am I not supposed to be here? Maybe I'm not even supposed to do this course. So a lot of things were starting to play in my mind. A lot of things were starting to discourage me. And then I think a week later after that, I get a firm offer from WITS, but they were offering me to study film and television. And I'm like, but God, this is not what I want to do. Yes, I like film and television now because I have a background of it from last year, but it's not what I want to do right now. Right now, I want to perform my heart out, you know, and I don't want to delay that. I don't want to do it any other time. I want it now, and I don't understand why you keep saying no. So it was a battle of, so are you gonna stay at home? Mind you, DUT hadn't responded to me. So now it was a matter of, are you gonna stay at home, babes, or you gonna go study film and television? And I knew I also didn't want to stay at home because I was tired of staying at home. For some awkward reason, DUT did not call me for my audition date. And because I think I was just so discouraged, I didn't even follow up. Like, I just found out that the auditions were closed, and I'm like, but you didn't call me. I didn't even go there. You know, God has always just had a way of surprising me, of putting me exactly where I need to be at that time without me looking for it. Same thing happened this year. I found myself at KCAB. When I go back to how I ended up at KCAB, literally how it happened was, it was a Sunday. One of my aunts who used to do opera music is like, do you know of a place called KCAB? I live close to KCAB. It's like I live 20 minutes apart. My home is 20 minutes apart from KCAB. She's like, do you know KCAB? KCAB is like an art center in Wamashu. They basically focus on acting, not acting per se, like art, acting being the major one, music, African music, like drums, marimba, percussion, those type of instruments, dancing. So it's just like this place that does art, and it's like, it's well known. A lot of industry people come from there. Like, they started there as kids, and that center basically runs a program every single year. It's like a 10 months of intense freaking acting, and you get people from, like, international people, you get people from the industry coming and doing workshops. That's where I met Pamela Nomvete, that's where I met Mandisa Nduna, that is where I met Mekwana, that is where I met Joe Mafela. The list goes on and on and on and on. So it's really just like an amazing place to be, an amazing place to start your career. But obviously at that time I didn't know that. So my aunt is like, yo, do you know of a place called KCAB? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you can't want to enter the arts industry, yet you don't even know the connections that are right next door to you. And she's like, yeah, there's a place called KCAB, and it's run by a theater director called Mr. Edmund Mhlongo, who's basically a theater practitioner in Durban, in KZN, who's done so many big shows in the Playhouse and etc. and etc. And I'm like, I don't know that place. That day, I was leaving home. I was leaving her house. She lived in Kloof. So I was going back home in Nanda with my mom, not my aunt. So on our way, so in Nanda, Nokamashu is a close by. So on our way home, I'm like, Mom, I want to go to Gamash. I want to go to Gabi. There's a place called KCAB that Uma and I were talking about. I referred to my aunt as Uma. I really want to go check it out. My mom's like, hey, last minute things. You should do this with your daddy. I don't like off ramping to places that I hadn't planned. So now she's driving to this place and she's busy shouting. And I'm just like, girl, just take me to KCAB. Just take me to KCAB. I get to KCAB. It's this amazing center with like faces of Abo, Lelet, Kumalo. You know, it's just so of Oshagazul. It's just so welcoming. It's like, hi. I get there, I sit down, and I'm like, I literally went there not knowing what I wanted to say, and I'm like, hi, do you guys have like any program I can join? Maybe in the weekends I want to do arts. Like, do you guys have like a play maybe that I can join? I'm a weekend to come act. And they're like, oh no, sweetheart, we have an intense acting course that runs for 10 months, but you need to apply for it the previous year so that you audition this year. And I'm like, okay, so I can't apply for it now. Then they're like, no, you cannot apply for it now. Then I'm like, oh, okay. But God puts you in places where he wants you to be. And sometimes you don't even need to do much. When he wants you to be there, you don't need to do anything, because that's where you're supposed to be at that time. For some reason, they kept talking to me, like they were intrigued, and they're like, how old are you? What were you doing? So I ended up telling them my entire story, that, oh no, Vits rejected me. I'm still speaking to the receptionist. But little did I know that as I'm speaking to the receptionist, telling her my entire life story, the man who is Edmund Mhlongo is listening to me in the other room. He's listening to this young girl who is just so passionate and is just so full of life and enthusiasm and is bubbly. So I think he just was attracted to my soul. Or maybe not. It was just God placing me exactly where I needed to be. And then this man comes and he looks at me and he's like, Awul. And knowing me, I'm just like, this old man, bye and hello. Like, you know, I had this reaction of, the fuck? Why would you just make me sing? And then he's like, he leaves. And the receptionist is like, oh my gosh, that is the director. You should have sung. Oh my gosh, he was auditioning you and you didn't. And I'm just there like, did I just mess up another opportunity? Did I just lose an audition that was like right here? Now it sunk. sometimes just do it. Sometimes you don't need to question. Sometimes just do. Allow yourself to be present. Allow yourself to do what you are told to do at that time. And I'm just like, yo, did my attitude just mess up this opportunity for me? The man comes back and he looks at me and he's like, so Vits took you for film and television? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, you want to act? I'm like, with all my heart. And he's like, come and audition on Thursday. And I'm like, are you joking? He said he does this and he walks away and I'm like, and the receptionist is like, yeah, the audition that you were supposed to apply for, the intense class that you were supposed to apply for the previous year, the auditions are on Thursday. And he just said, come. So come on Thursday and audition. Come in the morning so that you fill the form. And I'm like, I ran to the car and I'm like, Mom, I just got an audition. Mom was like, did you know? Is that what you wanted to do? And I'm like, fast forward Thursday, I did the audition. And that's how I started doing acting. That was the first year that I really did acting. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. If you, in such a way that if you are an aspiring actress who's in Durban, I highly recommend that you start your career at KCAP. Literally everything you find here in university, you find it there at KCAP, and it's free. It's a community arts center that if you don't know about it, you'd even look down upon it because it's in Guamashu. You think what education can come from there, what knowledge can come. Trust me when I say half of the industry people that are doing amazing started from KCAP. Okay, so that was 2017 done. I still hadn't gotten to drama university, So in my head, I wanted to go to drama university. Then God said, no, go do film and television. I tried again. God said, no, go to KCAP first. I tried again. And this time God said, now is the right time. When I apply for university, I apply at DUT, I apply at Tswana. My heart was so angry at Wits that I never applied there again. Right before my DUT audition, there was an audition for a show called Madam President. I auditioned for the show, and by God's grace, I got the role. I got the role, Madam President, the lead role. And I knew that this show is all I need to open doors for me. The tricky part about the show was that the show only lasted for 3 months. It was going to rehearse for 4 weeks, which is a month, and then it was going to perform for 2 other months, making 3 months. I was going to make good money, and I knew that it's going to open doors for me, but I wasn't sure if it's going to open doors for me right away. So now it was a matter of, am I going to choose a show for 3 months, 3 certain months, and ditch school? Or am I going to go to school and then chase money afterwards? But I knew I really wanted to do the show. So I got casted for the lead role, Madam President. I was actually sharing the role with a famous actor. She's currently on Aspire. So she was playing the old Madam President. I was playing the younger version of Madam President. That's how big the show was. So the show was, I'm just going to give you guys a background story about the show so that you understand as I'm going on with my testimony. The show was going to be sponsored by ANC because it was during the time where elections were happening, and it was the first time ever in South Africa that we had a woman that was running for president. It was the year where Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was running for president. So basically the show called Madam President is basically there to sort of celebrate her victory should she become president. So it was a show that was based around the election and her potentially becoming president. But I don't know if you remember the atmosphere. It was almost certain that she's going to become the next president. So the audition started right as I was Madam Presidenting my way. My audition came at duty, because when it's your time, God just makes things happen like this. I auditioned. Mind you, I had been unsuccessful with my DET audition for 2 years in a row. Now, how DET works is you do your first audition, you get a callback. If you make it through the first audition, you get a callback, and then you make it through the second audition, and then you get taken. I only did 1 audition, and I went straight through. Not because I'm great or not because there's anything significant, but because it was my time at that time. Because everything that was happening was preparing me for that yes. And literally, that's just how I want us to understand rejection is that sometimes rejection is not a no. It's not, we take it as a no, we take it as rejection, but it's not a no, it's just a not now. We can create our plans all we want, but if that is not what God has for us, if that's not God's plan for our lives, we can cry all we want, it's not going to happen. If it is part of the plan, it will happen one way or another, just not at our pace, just not at our timing. So the destination is the same, but how we get there and when we get there is not up to us. And that's exactly what happened with my life. I feel like God, I told God I wanted to get into drama school. God said yes. God just didn't say yes in 2016. It wasn't after the year I matriculated. He wanted me to do so many other things to prepare me to get in 2018. When this was happening, I was looking at my peers. They were doing their second years, and I still hadn't even done my first year. And that's what rejection does. Rejection makes you lose focus. Rejection makes you, creates jealousy, because now you look at where you could have been and you start comparing, and if you understand the power of rejection and the power of God in all, it's easy to understand that I'm gonna get there just at my own pace. So it's easy not to fall into the trap of jealousy. It's easy not to fall into the trap of comparison. It's easy to be whole and be present in whatever it is and wherever you are at that time, because you know that the bigger plan is there for you. It's just that it's not going to be the same as everyone else because our timings are different. Really important to understand rejection, to know that it happens, to know that it will happen one way or another. I think the most important thing that I learned is not to shift focus. Don't lose what you want just because you didn't get it at the time that you want, because God also wants to see how bad do you want it. Once you start seeing it as a test, you will see God gives us everything we want, but he doesn't hand it to us in a silver platter. We have to work to get with the things we want. He needs to see that he can trust us with the things that we want, with the little things that he gives us, so that when you ask for more, he's able to give you more, because you were able to make it with the little things. No matter how many no's you get, it only takes one yes for the game to change. It only takes one person to recognize you. This is what I always say to myself, Fuguti. Yes, getting in the industry is so hard, but it will only take one person to notice. There's going to be so many no's, but the nice thing is you don't even need so many yeses to make it. You just need one, but you need so many no's to prepare you for that one yes. My testimony is a testimony that I look at in a bigger scale, and it has helped me to deal with a lot of no's in my life. So many things happen now, so many no's come now, and I look at them and I'm like, I know what you're doing, God. I know you when you do this. You're preparing me for something greater. Look at rejection at another light. Don't look at rejection as if I'm not deserving, I'm not good enough, there's someone better than me, this is the wrong decision, let me change. You need to be firm in what you want. That's when God begins to trust you and gives you what you want. If you show him that you firm, this is what you want. But yeah, I really hope that more than anything, this video was just like a testimony of how I've gotten to understand God, how I've gotten to understand rejection, how I've gotten to understand not now, how I've gotten to understand the art of patience, how I've gotten to understand the art of perseverance and being firm in what you want. And I just thought it's really something I wanted to come out here and share with, especially now that matrics are writing, people are going to be applying, people are going to be getting rejected. That don't give up. Bounce back every single time up until you get that one yes. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a massive thick thumbs up. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe to my channel and become a part of the family. And don't forget to click that post notification bell so that you can get notified every time that I post a new video. But for now, you definitely are a star. I will see you on my next video.